What happens when the embodiment of Hollywood grace is pushed too far, live unfiltered, and in front of millions? When Jennifer Garner, America's sweetheart known for her kindness and composure, suddenly finds herself cornered by Joy Behar's sharp tongue on The View. What follows is something no one in that studio, or watching from home, could have ever anticipated. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to Prime Narrator, hit that like button, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Because today's story will have you questioning everything you thought you knew about Hollywood humility and live TV boundaries. The cameras were already rolling when the tension began to simmer. It was supposed to be a light segment, Jennifer promoting her new heartfelt drama about motherhood and resilience. But the air that morning was heavy, charged with something invisible, something unscripted. The audience sensed it, the kind of uneasy anticipation that ripples through a room before a storm. Joy Behar leaned forward at the panel, eyes glinting beneath the studio lights. "Jennifer," she began with that familiar smirk, "you're always playing these wholesome women. Moms, caretakers, angels on earth. Don't you ever get tired of being nice all the time?" A small laugh from the audience, harmless on the surface, but the tone, condescending, needling, hung in the air like smoke. Jennifer smiled politely, that trained Hollywood grace masking the flicker in her eyes. "Well," she said lightly, "I like playing roles that reflect real people. I think there's strength in kindness." Joy's eyebrows arched. Sure, she interrupted, waving a hand. "But do you ever worry you're not being taken seriously because of it? I mean, people still call you America's mom. Doesn't that get under your skin?" There it was, the shift, the bait. The co-hosts exchanged glances. Whoopi leaned back, cautious. Sunny Hostin tapped her cue cards nervously. Sarah Haynes gave a half-smile that didn't reach her eyes. Jennifer's posture straightened. "I don't think compassion is weakness, Joy," she said, still measured. "It's something we could use more of, especially these days." Joy chuckled, her voice dripping with irony. "Oh, please. Compassion is nice, but it won't get you Oscars. Look at the industry. You've been around long enough. You know nice doesn't sell." The audience gave an uncertain laugh. The sound didn't land right. It wavered, confused. For a heartbeat, Jennifer's expression didn't change. Then something in her eyes, something raw, surfaced. She leaned slightly forward, her voice lower, steadier. "Maybe that's why the world's so cynical, Joy. Everyone's chasing applause instead of peace." The audience murmured. Joy blinked, taken aback by the firmness in Jennifer's tone. Whoopi shifted in her chair. Okay, ladies," she interjected with a half-smile. "Let's not start World War III before the commercial break." But the tension wouldn't settle. Joy wasn't done. "No, I just think it's interesting," she continued, pressing on. "Some people play nice for the camera, but don't always live that way behind it." The words landed like a slap. Gasps rippled through the studio. Jennifer's jaw tightened. You could see it, the flash of disbelief, then the slow inhale through her nose as she steadied herself. "I hope you're not suggesting something personal, Joy," she said, voice calm but brittle. Joy smiled thinly. "I'm just saying, Hollywood's full of surprises." It was no longer an interview. It was a challenge. Jennifer's hand clenched subtly on the armrest. Years of media training told her to let it go, laugh it off, pivot. But something inside her cracked. A line had been crossed. "I've worked hard to stay true to myself," she said, her voice clear, trembling slightly with emotion. "If that doesn't fit your version of entertainment, that's your problem, not mine." The audience erupted in applause, unexpected, thunderous. Whoopi's eyes widened. Sarah Haynes mouthed, "Oh my God." Sunny looked down, pretending to shuffle notes, trying to defuse the heat. But Joy didn't blink. She smirked, a flicker of irritation showing. Touchy, she muttered into her mic. Jennifer turned her head sharply. "You know, Joy, I came here to talk about my film, not defend my character. But since you brought it up, kindness isn't an act. It's a choice. One I make every day, even when I'm sitting across from people who confuse cruelty with honesty." The studio went silent. No shuffling, no whispering, just that dense, electric stillness before something breaks. Whoopi leaned forward, her voice low. "We're going to go to break," she said quickly, waving to producers off stage. But Jennifer wasn't finished. Her voice softened, but every word hit like thunder. "We don't need more cynics in this world, Joy. We need people who still believe in decency." Applause swelled again, louder this time, rolling through the audience like a wave. Some people stood. Others just stared, stunned. Joy forced a laugh. "Well, looks like I hit a nerve." Jennifer tilted her head, eyes steady. No. You hit a mirror. Gasps. Audible gasps. The producer's voices crackled through the earpieces. Cut to commercial now. Whoopi's voice carried over the rising chatter. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. As the music swelled and the cameras faded to black, the energy on that set was nuclear. Jennifer exhaled slowly, shaking her head, her hands trembling just enough to betray the calm she was trying to hold. Joy looked away, her smile fading for the first time. The audience whispered among themselves, phones already coming out, tweets already being typed. And when the show returned from break, nothing was the same. The confrontation that began as a jab had ignited something deeper. A clash of values, ego, and public image that would spill far beyond that studio. But that is only the beginning. The moment the cameras rolled again, Jennifer Garner wasn't just a guest anymore. She was a woman reclaiming her dignity in real time, and Joy Behar was about to find out what happens when Grace decides to fight back. When the show returned from the commercial break, the air was heavy enough to touch. The crowd wasn't just watching anymore, they were waiting. The tension that had simmered before the cameras cut now lingered in the air like static. Jennifer Garner sat poised in her chair, her smile faint but tight, while Joy Behar kept that performative grin plastered on, though her eyes betrayed irritation. The theme music faded. Whoopi's voice carried through the speakers, cheerful but cautious. Welcome back to The View. We're here with the wonderful Jennifer Garner, who's been sharing her insights about her new film, and a few other things too. She laughed lightly, trying to reset the tone. Jennifer turned toward Whoopi, her expression softening slightly. Thank you, Whoopi, she said. I really appreciate the conversation. Joy crossed her legs, leaned in, and smirked. Oh, we're always having conversations here, Jennifer. Some people just don't like when it gets real. The audience let out a collective, oh, that kind of drawn-out sound that comes from a crowd smelling drama before it hits. Jennifer's lips parted, but before she could respond, Sarah Haynes stepped in, almost too quickly. So, Jennifer, tell us about this new movie. You play a mother who's trying to rebuild her life after a tragedy, right? Jennifer nodded, grateful for the redirection. Yes, it's about rediscovering your strength when life forces you to start over. It's a story about resilience and… Joy cut her off. Resilience, huh? You've had to do that in your own life, right? After, everything with Ben. The audience gasped. The words hit like a slap, loud, personal, and unfiltered. Jennifer blinked. For a split second, her composure faltered. You could almost hear her breath catch. Then slowly she sat back, eyes narrowing, not in anger, but in disbelief. Whoopi's eyes widened. Joy, no. We're not doing that. Joy shrugged, feigning innocence. What? It's public. Everyone talks about it. She's written about it herself. Jennifer's tone dropped, measured but cutting. I came here to talk about my work, not to relive my personal pain for entertainment. Her voice carried a weight that made the entire studio go still. Joy smiled thinly. But don't you think people connect to you because of that? The heartbreak, the single mom thing, it's kind of your brand now. Jennifer inhaled sharply. My brand, she echoed. Joy, I'm not a product. I'm a person. And that heartbreak you're referring to, those are my children's lives, their privacy. Not a talking point. The crowd erupted in applause. Some even shouted yes. And say it. Sonny Hostin looked toward the producers nervously. The red tally light on camera 3 flickered. It was live. No one dared to cut away. Joy laughed, but it was strained. Oh, come on, Jennifer. It's The View. We ask the questions people are curious about. You can't expect to come here and just sell your movie. Jennifer's composure finally cracked. Her voice trembled, but not from weakness. From the effort it took to keep herself from exploding. Curiosity doesn't give anyone the right to humiliate someone on air, she said quietly. You call it being real. I call it being cruel. The studio fell silent. Joy blinked, suddenly realizing how far she'd gone, but her pride wouldn't let her back down. You know what's cruel? She snapped. Pretending everything's perfect when everyone knows it's not. People want honesty. Jennifer turned to her, eyes fierce now. Honesty isn't cruelty, Joy. And hiding behind the word honesty to justify tearing people down? That's cowardice. The audience erupted again, clapping and cheering. The tension had turned into open warfare, and no one could look away. Whoopi raised her hands, her voice sharp now. All right, let's cool it. We're not doing this today. But Jennifer wasn't done. She leaned forward, her tone calm but final. You know what's funny? I grew up watching this show. I respected the women who sat here because they had integrity. They built each other up. But what I've seen today, she paused, shaking her head. This is just noise dressed up as empowerment. The crowd gasped again. Joy's jaw tightened. Whoopi's eyes darted to the floor manager. We need a break. Now. But the producers weren't cutting this time. They knew what they were witnessing, television lightning. Jennifer continued, her voice steadier now. I don't mind hard questions. I've faced worse. But when a woman uses her platform to tear another woman down for sport, it says a lot more about her than it does about the person she's mocking. There was nothing left for Joy to say. She looked down, tapping her cue cards with a shaky hand, her face tight with frustration. Sarah glanced toward Jennifer, whispering softly, You're handling this better than I ever could. Jennifer exhaled. You learn to choose your battles, she said, still looking at Joy. But sometimes the battle chooses you. The audience clapped again, loud, standing now, as if they understood this wasn't just about Jennifer Garner anymore. It was about every guest who'd ever been cornered, every moment a celebrity was forced to smile through disrespect. Joy looked up, her voice barely audible over the cheers. You're really making a moment out of this, huh? Jennifer smiled faintly, the storm in her voice softening into something almost compassionate. No, Joy. You made this moment. I'm just not running from it. The music cue began to play early, an attempt to transition, to calm the storm. But the damage and the spectacle were already done. As the segment wrapped, Whoopi leaned closer to Joy, whispering something that didn't reach the microphones. Joy nodded stiffly, her smile fixed, her eyes unreadable. Jennifer, meanwhile, turned to the audience and gave a small, grateful wave. The crowd responded like she'd just finished a powerful speech rather than an interview. The camera panned to Whoopi for the outro. We'll be right back with more View, she said, her voice flat but steady. Don't go anywhere. The second the red light went off, Jennifer leaned back in her chair, her heart still pounding. Producers swarmed in. A stagehand handed Joy a fresh set of cards. Someone whispered in Jennifer's ear. That was wow. Just wow. Jennifer smiled faintly, still shaking slightly. Not the press I came for, she murmured, but maybe the one that needed to happen. Behind her, Joy sighed and muttered under her breath. Unbelievable. But the cameras had caught enough. And what was said on that stage would echo far beyond that studio. The moment was already going viral. Tweets flying, clips being clipped, words being dissected by millions who'd missed the live broadcast. And as the next segment began, everyone on that set knew something had changed. This wasn't just a talk show anymore. It was the spark of a public reckoning. Backstage at The View, the atmosphere was chaotic. Producers whispering, assistants rushing between rooms, and security lingering just a few steps closer than usual. The tension from the set had followed everyone off camera like a shadow that refused to lift. What had just happened wasn't just another TV moment. It was live television history unfolding in real time. Jennifer Garner stood in the green room, pacing quietly near the mirror. Her reflection stared back at her, calm on the surface, but her hands trembled slightly as she gripped a paper cup of water. The applause, the confrontation, the final look in Joy Behar's eyes. It all replayed in her mind like echoes she couldn't silence. A young producer, barely in her 20s, approached hesitantly. Ms. Garner, she began softly. That was incredible. Are you okay? Jennifer smiled faintly, forcing herself to exhale. I'm fine, she said, though her voice betrayed a quiver. It's just not what I came here for. From the hallway came muffled voices. Joy Behar's unmistakable tone cutting through the air. I don't care what Twitter thinks, Joy snapped. I was doing my job. She took it too seriously. Whoopi's voice followed, calm but firm. Joy, you were out of line. We talked about this. There's asking tough questions, and then there's being disrespectful. Joy's scoff echoed back. Oh, please, Whoopi. Everyone's too sensitive these days. You can't even make a comment without someone acting like it's an attack. Whoopi's tone dropped, low and steady. That wasn't a comment, Joy. That was personal. Jennifer closed her eyes, leaning against the counter as the words bled through the walls. She hadn't meant for it to explode like this. But she couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper had been brewing long before she walked onto that stage. Moments later, Sunny Hostin walked in, gently closing the door behind her. Hey, she said softly. You handled yourself beautifully. Jennifer gave a small, weary smile. Beautifully? It didn't feel beautiful. It felt like walking through fire. Sunny nodded. That's what truth feels like sometimes. There was a pause. Jennifer looked toward the closed door. Do you think I went too far? Sunny hesitated, choosing her words carefully. No, you drew a line. People forget that even celebrities have a right to one. Jennifer's eyes dropped to her hands. I've spent my whole career trying to avoid scenes like that. I didn't want to be another viral clip, another shouting match. But she went after my family, Sunny. My kids. That was... Her voice cracked slightly. That was a line I couldn't ignore. Sunny's gaze softened. You shouldn't have to. Outside, Joy was still talking to producers, her tone rising. Now everyone's acting like I attacked her. It's a talk show, for crying out loud. We talk. That's the point. A senior producer, Michael, stepped in. Joy, she didn't sign up to have her personal life dragged on air. You know the guidelines. Joy folded her arms, defensive. So now I'm the villain? I've been doing this for years, and suddenly I'm the problem because she didn't like the question. Whoopi sighed. No one's calling you the villain, Joy. But we have to respect guests. This isn't TMZ. We're better than that. Jennifer could hear them through the door, every syllable cutting through the silence like static. She looked at Sunny. Do you ever get used to it? The judgment, the noise? Sunny gave a half smile. Never. You just learn which noise to ignore. There was a knock. Whoopi poked her head in, giving Jennifer a look that was both gentle and protective. You good? She asked. Jennifer nodded slowly. Yeah, just collecting myself. Whoopi stepped inside and shut the door behind her. For what it's worth, she said, you handled that with grace. You didn't lose your temper. You just told your truth. Jennifer met her eyes. I didn't want to make this personal, Whoopi. But I'm tired of pretending that people can say whatever they want about me, and I'm supposed to smile through it. Whoopi chuckled softly. Then don't. You're human. Sometimes it's okay to stop smiling. For the first time since the confrontation, Jennifer laughed, quiet, almost sad. You think it'll blow over? Whoopi's face was thoughtful. Oh, it won't blow over. It'll explode. But it'll also make people talk. And maybe that's not a bad thing. Meanwhile, out on the set, the live audience was still buzzing. Phones out. Clips already circulating. Hashtags forming. Hashtag Jennifer Garner speaks. Hashtag Joy Behar crossed the line. Hashtag The View Meltdown. By the time Jennifer left the dressing room, her publicist was waiting by the hallway with her phone in hand, eyes wide. Jen, it's everywhere. TMZ, Variety, Entertainment Tonight. They're already running it. You're trending #1 on Twitter. Jennifer froze. Oh no. Her publicist showed her the screen. A clip of her saying you hit a mirror had been looped, captioned in bold white text. Millions of views within minutes. Sunny peeked over. They're calling it the most powerful moment in talk show history, she said softly. Jennifer's stomach sank. That's not what I wanted. I didn't want a moment. Her publicist sighed. You didn't create it. You just didn't let it swallow you. Down the hall, Joy's dressing room door slammed shut. Inside, she was fuming. They're all over her side, she muttered, scrolling through her phone. She plays the victim, and I'm the monster. Typical, her assistant whispered. Maybe just let it cool off, Joy. Joy tossed the phone onto the counter. No, I'm not apologizing for doing my job. But her reflection stared back at her, tired, defensive, and unsteady. She didn't look like the confident host she wanted the world to see. She looked shaken. Back in the hallway, Jennifer gathered her things. Before leaving, she looked back toward the stage. The bright lights dimmed now, the echoes of applause fading into memory. It's strange, she murmured to Whoopi, who stood beside her. You walk in trying to promote a story, and end up living one instead. Whoopi smiled, resting a hand on her shoulder. The truth has a funny way of finding its stage. As Jennifer walked out through the back exit, paparazzi lights flared like lightning. Questions shouted, microphones extended, chaos exploding in every direction. Jennifer, do you have a response to Joy Behar's comments? Were you offended? Will you ever return to The View? Jennifer paused for half a second, her face illuminated by flashes. Then she smiled faintly and said just one line, calm, resolute. Sometimes silence says everything. She got into the car, the door shut, and the crowd's noise faded into distant echoes. Inside the studio, Joy sat alone at the empty table, the hum of stage lights buzzing above her. For the first time, she looked unsure, haunted even. The next morning, Good Morning America, ET, and every entertainment outlet in the country would replay that moment again and again. Jennifer Garner versus Joy Behar. Grace versus provocation. But what no one saw was the quiet aftershock. The the deep, human cost of a few reckless words spoken into a live microphone. And as the headlines multiplied, both women were about to face a storm that neither had expected. By dawn the next morning, the world was already ablaze. Every entertainment network, gossip page, and social media feed was replaying the same 10 seconds. Jennifer Garner leaning forward on the View stage, eyes locked on Joy Behar, and saying the line that had ignited the nation. "You hit a mirror." That single phrase had become a cultural earthquake. Clips flooded X, TikTok, Instagram Reels. Commentators dissected every expression, every pause, every flicker in Jennifer's eyes. Hashtags were trending across platforms. Hashtag Garner versus Behar. Hashtag Respect on the View. Hashtag When Grace Snaps Back. The contrast between Jennifer's quiet strength and Joy's unfiltered sarcasm had divided audiences into camps. Overnight, the world wasn't just talking about a talk show anymore. It was debating integrity, decency, and the blurry line between honesty and cruelty on live television. Outside ABC's studios in New York, fans began to gather, some holding signs that read Team Jennifer and "Kindness is Power." Reporters camped near the stage door, desperate for a quote, a reaction, anything. Inside the building, the tension was no better. Joy Behar walked into the makeup room that morning with her coffee in hand and a scowl on her face. The mirror in front of her reflected a woman visibly rattled. Hair tied too tightly, eyes tired, jaw clenched. Whoopi Goldberg was already there, quiet, sipping tea. "Morning," Whoopi said simply. Joy muttered, "If I hear one more person say mirror, I swear." Whoopi cut in, her tone even but firm. "Then maybe stop giving them reasons to." Joy sighed, slumping into the chair. "I didn't mean to offend her. I was just doing what I always do. Poke a little, stir a little. It's the View, Whoopi. People love that." Whoopi looked over, one eyebrow raised. "Yeah, but there's a difference between stirring and spilling the whole pot." Joy didn't answer. She just looked into the mirror, quiet for once. Across town, Jennifer Garner sat by her kitchen window, a mug of coffee cooling beside her phone. Her publicist's messages flashed nonstop. "GMA wants you for a follow-up interview. Variety wants an exclusive. Hashtag Jennifer Garner Speaks has hit 15 million views." Her teenage daughter peeked into the room. "Mom, you're all over TikTok," she said, half amused, half worried. "Everyone's calling you a queen." Jennifer smiled softly. "That's nice, but I wish they were talking about the film." Her daughter grinned. "They're talking about you, though. You were real. People love that." Jennifer looked down at her coffee, her reflection rippling on the surface. "Being real shouldn't have to come with so much noise," she murmured. By noon, every major outlet had published think pieces. Headlines like, "Jennifer Garner's viral confrontation exposes the View's problem with respect." "Joy Behar crossed a line, and the internet isn't having it." "The moment Hollywood's sweetheart fought back." But the fallout was complicated. Joy's defenders rallied, calling her a truth teller, who wasn't afraid to ask the tough questions. Others accused her of bullying, of using her platform to humiliate. The View's producers scrambled behind the scenes. Phone calls with ABC execs went late into the night. PR teams drafted statements. By evening, Joy's face appeared on camera again, this time from her dressing room. "I've been reading your comments," she began, her tone quieter than usual. "I may have pushed too hard yesterday. Jennifer is a class act. If I made it personal, that's on me." It wasn't quite an apology, but it was close enough to sound like one. The internet erupted again, half praising her humility, half calling it damage control. Meanwhile, Jennifer posted a simple message on her Instagram story. Just white text on a black screen. "We're all human. We stumble, we react, we learn. Kindness always wins." It was shared more than 2 million times in less than 24 hours. That evening, a montage aired on Entertainment Tonight, clips of Jennifer's calm defiance, Joy's stunned reaction, the applause echoing through the studio. The narrator called it the confrontation that redefined daytime television. But behind the glamour, the emotions lingered. Jennifer met with her publicist the next day, discussing damage control, interviews, spin. But Jennifer didn't want spin. "I said what I felt," she said firmly. "That's all there is." Her publicist nodded. "Then that's the story we tell. Not a scandal. A boundary." For Joy, things were different. The next time she walked onto the View set, the air felt different, colder, cautious. The audience still clapped, but the laughter came slower. Whoopi gave her a nod, professional but distant. Joy forced a smile. But inside, the weight of that single moment, The one where she went too far sat heavy. Later that afternoon, between segments, Joy glanced across the table at the empty seat where Jennifer had sat just a day before. She thought about the look in Jennifer's eyes, not angry, not even defensive, just done. That image wouldn't leave her. 2 days later, Joy reached out privately. A message, simple but genuine. "You didn't deserve that." "I'm sorry." Jennifer replied hours later. "Thank you. We're all learning." And that was it. No interviews, no cameras, no spectacle. Just two women, both public figures, choosing grace over vengeance. Weeks passed. The buzz slowly died down, replaced by the next headline, the next controversy. But the moment never quite faded. It lived on in montages, online threads, and quiet conversations about empathy and entertainment. In one viral TikTok, a viewer summed it up best. Jennifer Garner reminded us that kindness doesn't mean silence. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is speak the truth. Months later, Jennifer appeared on another talk show, calmer, smiling, radiant. When the host asked her about that day, she simply said, "Sometimes the universe gives you the microphone at the right time. You just have to decide what you'll do with it." The audience applauded. And far away, in her dressing room at The View, Joy Behar watched the clip on her monitor, sighed softly, and muttered, "Fair enough." The camera zooms out from there, the hum of New York outside, the echo of applause fading into quiet reflection. Because that's the thing about moments like these. They don't just end when the cameras stop rolling. They echo. They ripple. They remind everyone watching that grace isn't weakness, and sometimes the strongest response to cruelty is courage. Jennifer Garner didn't plan to make headlines that day. But she did something rarer. She made people